Welcome to my video. I'm Jennifer Roberts and this is True Divine 4-4. Thank you for being here and thank you to all of the new subscribers. I appreciate you all very, very much. You've joined an awesome clan here, tribe, the Soul Tribe, and in conjunction with Wayne's channel, we make up, and Nina's and many others, we make up a fabulous crew. And so Andromeda 7-2. You should check those out, those ladies, getting to know them better through seeing them more, hearing them more, and they're just seekers of truth. And so I want to speak about this recalibration and rebalancing of scales that I brought up quite some time ago, where I was picking up on the transference of management roles of religion and science, science and religion. And so I heard Chris Lipton, thinking of a friend, Bruce Lipton, speak about this, and basically he spoke about the fact that there was an agreement made between the churches and emerging science, in that science wasn't going to be allowed to exist should it start to step on the toes of the church, of organized religion in general, but mainly the church. And so it speaks about the religion that was teaching about this spiritual moving force that happened first before things were seen in the physical reality. So was science, but science then realized through Newton's work that through him observing the constellations, the skies, he could predict a lot of what was happening or going to happen in the material matter. And so science gave the agreement to say we'll not step on the toes of the church regarding the invisible, because we can just do everything we want to do based on concentrating on the physical matter only. Straight away, both sides coming to that agreement. Unfortunately, the people that fall below those two sides, and often merging of the two, are the ones yet again to be betrayed, because yet again those shackles, those limitations are on both sides of the coin. And so we've been going through this process for quite some time, where there's been this agreement between church and science, spiritual stuff, physical stuff. And now we are breaking through, in that religion's held its control over itself, over this realm, this space, this aspect of reality, so to speak, for quite some time, in that it's managed to hold its grip by building very strict, very regimental boxes that followers must fit into in order to be accepted as a follower, as a person of good Christian values, or any other like organized religion. But for certain in the Western world, Christianity being a huge player. And so science, though, is slightly different, in that even on the side of those with bad intent, science wants to explore the things available to it. And ultimately, through this big history loop that we've been going in, we're back to eating the snake's tail, in that science has continued to want to expand, to have to expand, to understand more, to apply more. And things like business, trade, the way we can do things has grown from science expanding. So there is much drawing upon that. Now, unfortunately for the lay people who aren't scientists or aren't seekers of their own truth, researchers, then they're going to fall under the bracket of physics that are available to them, physics that they're indoctrinated with via the schooling system, as being the thing that is possible, the only possibilities. So we have a closing down of possibilities, abilities and capabilities and minds of much of the collective. Meanwhile, religion is kept on its merry trail with its dogma, with its rhetoric, keeping again people limited to their capabilities, abilities, and possibilities, and therefore mind, consciousness. But again, that drawing where science for many different reasons has been allowed to expand and leak out, and for the most part kept under the rug, kept under the carpet, the real scientific breakthroughs of knowing what is actually possible, or more of what is actually possible, more of what we are actually capable of. It's been okay to keep this agreement thus far, but we've come to a point where we're seeing a tussle between the church and science yet again. And I talked about this a long time ago, and I really feel that we've been seeing now some of the results of that, in that church got affected by science. Church with scientific models, prediction models, science going into the tech realm. This is where the church really saw a huge impact of, hold on a minute, wait a minute, there needs to be another agreement met here, because science is encroaching on something that it said it would not encroach upon. Because you see, science went into Newton's physics, and in that they were quite happy to just study the physical matter. But then we've moved on through that expansion and the drawing on the strings of science and people wanting more. This is where we've gone into quantum. Quantum has sort of umbrellaed all of Newton's physics and put more layers on top of possibilities, capabilities, and understanding and application. And so this is where this recalibration, these talks have had to go on, because through that science, tech has evolved, tech and modeling being a major part in what has been the biggest scam of the last 2-3 years. And so churches were affected. If you remember, churches were shut down. Churches weren't able to congregate. Money wasn't flowing through the doors as much. And not so long after that, the Pope had discussions. Not so long after that, the Pope made an announcement about certain infusions being good and the godly thing to do. After that, very soon after that, we saw churches in the UK and in other countries opening up as infusion centres, where they were opening up their doors under the Pope's directive of, yeah, it's the godly thing to do. We just need to give them this because we need to sort out some kind of partnership now. We've had this caveat, we've had this sort of agreement for this long, but actually we took our eye off the ball. Science has continued to expand, and because we have limited science, as we said, don't step on our invisible spiritual toes. We now have allowed it to do exactly as they did to the so-called women healers, the witches that they labeled thereafter. We've allowed it to go underground, and this expansion of knowledge and application of that knowledge has continued to expand to the point now that without too much discussion, scientific modeling was able to shut down the doors of the churches. So obviously this is a sit down. We need to have a sit down, and these are big, heavier mafioso players where they need to sit down and talk. And so that agreement was made, and we saw the fallout of that agreement in the physical reality with the turnaround of the Pope, the opening of the churches as infusion centres, blah, blah, blah. And so now we're at this point again where this tussle is going to continue, because the church isn't, I feel, happily giving over a lot of its control. It's at a point of where it either does this or it loses all control that it has, or with the guilt and control matrix that it creates. And so at this point, there is this tussle still happening where begrudgingly they're working together, because they still want their slice of said pie. They still want the piece of the action. And so they are seeing the writing on the wall as far as religion is concerned. And so once we go to this point, we're seeing this recalibration. Now, the church is initiating certain actors, of course it is, to really push within the movements around the world, this religious rhetoric, to continue to reel people back in just enough to make sure that it continues its control. The same way science is pummeling certain sectors of the society to reel them in and use them as an experiment. And so we have these two sides playing with the many underneath them. But what we do see within this tussle is that much truth will come out. And I've written here, so religion will have to resist and also meet with science at the same time. When we look at the churches closing down, we see that result in action. And so in this big history loop that we found ourselves in, surely this will be a time as a time of a kicking up of the waters, so to speak, a kicking up of the dust, in that where much truth will be shown, and it is being shown, where much things will be leaked out while they are busy tussling. And it will be those few in societies that will see this. And it is up to us to use the energies that are available to us in this big history loop to not allow the same controllers to just go into a new partnership, to just be able to manage the quantum field. Because with quantum sciences, quantum goes on to say that that quantum is it shows that the invisible has an impact on the physical, but that invisible is energy. Same thing that the churches have espoused to preach. And so, but at the same time, churches wanted to limit the capabilities, i.e. thou shalt not contact the dead, thou shalt not speak directly to loved ones that have passed over. You mustn't, that's wrong. You need to have us as the middlemen. You mustn't just go around us and be in direct contact. Same way with science. Science is, yes, you must trust us, but no, you don't need to understand the Latin words. You don't need to understand why you should trust us or why you shouldn't. You don't need to understand the whole process of what got us to this finished product that now we are trying to get you to ingest or absorb. And so in this tussle, there will be a lot of truth coming out, and there has been doing so. And this is our opportunity to truly understand that if we can take these controllers out from both sides of this, that actually spirituality is what we deem and label as spirituality is science, and science is spirituality, in that quantum field physics, quantum physicists describe this quantum field as energy, an invisible moving force that has an impact thereafter in matter. And so the same way that religion does, they're two in the same. The bad thing is that they've been controlled and held back. The knowledge, yet again, has been held back just enough from those that come under both sides. So what we do label as spirituality and what we do label as science, again, they're two in one, they're one and the same. And so with that, can you imagine the kind of restrictions that would be lifted, the kind of restrictive chains that would be taken off from us, the kind of divisive vices that would be just poof, gone from our societies that create so much division, so much hatred, so much judgment, all of those hatred of each other, casting aspersions on each other, when actually we would be able to really understand that we are seeking our slice of the same thing. We're seeking our individual slice, what we feel passionately driven towards, understanding, developing our understanding of the same contextual thing, i.e. science and spirituality together, removing the labels of and control mechanisms of old science and old religion, abolishing those, all divisions dissolve. And it'll be very easy to see in our society then, those that walk amongst us as they do, it would be very easily for us to see that actually they are still spouting off this old religion or old science rhetoric because it suits them in a place in their heart. Hatred and division suits them. But without the powers that be emboldening that, then they lose a lot of their power, and they are very easily seen within societies, very easily just not given energy, not given time, and very easily can be prompted to have a different, more open, more accepting view. Or they can do like the dinosaurs, and as many of them are dinosaurs. So it's a really interesting place that we find ourselves in, and it's something that just came to mind today. Something reminded me of the videos that I did talking about the changeover of power in the churches, and the tussle there between science and church, state and church. Again, they're all one and the same thing. They've just done like any good business person does, and they've known when to share. And so they've all just taken their agreed slice of the pie. But again, knowledge wins, and knowledge and the expansion of knowledge and the energies around us are changing, are living. Wisdom is a living, evolving thing. Knowledge is a living and evolving thing. What these idiots have done, for their own greed and for their own power and for their own low self-esteem and ego, have literally put labels on and boxes around, chains and cages around something that is living. And like in Jurassic Park, life will find a way. And for the most part, life is finding a way within you, within me. Those that feel driven to discover and uncover, understand, overstand, understand, just for the sake of our saga, just for the sake of knowing more, just for the sake of leveling up and being more of ourselves, discovering more of ourselves. And yes, that having a ripple effect outside of self, but really wanting to really do ourselves justice, give ourselves reference by never stopping being the hermit, never stopping being the number 9, the realm of all possibilities. And so I'll leave it at that. I hope that made sense. It's a little bit of a ramble of videos that I did a while back, but I just wanted to point out, for me energetically, as reading the energies is what I do, is we're at this point that I spoke about a while ago, but we're at the point of actually really seeing very transparently this tussle that is going on. And we can use that to our advantage, or we can't. And so in using that to our advantage, we can accept that actually in taking away the controllers of these two and not having our ego so involved that we weren't allowed to meet as they always should have done, then we can absolutely change the direction of this space, of this place, for our children thereafter, for nature itself, for we could create a golden age that shadows all other golden ages, just by taking away these constructs and boxes and labels that have been put on by a very few in order to continue to have their slice of power, greed, and control over the collective. So I'll leave that with you there. Get excited about this, get passionate about this, do things in your community that reflect your true heart within yourself. Do something kind today, do something honest today, do something brave today, and have a beautiful day, because you are a creative source. You are a creator. And with this kind of understanding of where we are at with these skills that I've been speaking about, there's a true ability and excitability to actually understand even more of what the word sovereign means. Sovereign creator in your own right. And by being able to lift the restrictions of those so-called powers that be that have limited your consciousness and limited your possibilities within self, limited your expectancy of what you can expect from self and the capabilities that you hold within. Much love, balance, and wholeness. If you want a personal reading with me, truedivinemedia@gmail.com, or you can hit me up on Facebook, TrueDivine44. Check out Divinity and order your holistic teas to keep yourself cleansed and healthy from within, so that you can shine your auric field even brighter from without. Much love, balance, and wholeness. Mwah.